All right, that's pretty much a wrap on the 2024 New York Jets season after that last-minute loss to the Colts on Sunday. I need to know what direction the fan base wants to go, though. So let's check in with Matt O'Leary of the Just Jets podcast and platform. Matt, what's up, man? First and foremost, I'm sorry, bro. Every time we get you on is either after some sort of loss or something bad has happened. I apologize, but I don't make the vibes. I don't create the good vibes over at One Jets Drive, man. So sorry about that.
That is quite okay. Look, there's nothing that we can do. It's just what's presented in front of us right now. And it's been a lot of bad for this 2024 team, which I don't think any of us thought going into the season.
Yeah, and bad turned to worse after that loss. Let's break this thing down, man, because we're talking about a 14-play, 54-yard drive that puts them up 5 after a field goal, and they still managed to lose 28-27. That's not the way you want to lose a game that pretty much officially knocks you out of the playoffs. So what got the Jets beat on Sunday?
I think it was a mix of a lot of things in this one. In the first half, the offense was way underachieving. It took them till essentially the final 2 minutes of the first half to pick up their first down of the game. It was on their first scoring drive as well. It was on their 6th possession. Their first 5 possessions, they were unable to pick up a first down, and they dug themselves into a 13-0 hole. And then in the second half, it's like the offense finally clicked a little bit. They started to finally get going and put up some points in this game, and then the defense falls apart. The Jets go up, and then they let a touchdown drive go down the field. Jets kick a field goal to make it a 5-point game. Then Anthony Richardson, who was benched just a couple of weeks ago for Joe Flacco, he drives them right down the field, is picking apart this Jets defense. They go up. Offense can't do anything. So, honestly, it's a mix of both. I can't just pinpoint it on one thing and say the offense was the only reason they lost or the defense was the only reason they lost. They are just a defeated, broken down team right now.
Yeah. When we're talking about the offense, 253 total yards, 4 for 13 on third down. If you can't stay on the field, you don't belong on the field. And speaking of belonging, does a 41-year-old quarterback belong on the field? We're going to ask you, man, the season's pretty much over. If you're Woody Johnson, do you call Jeff Ulbrich to go with Tyrod Taylor? Do you think Aaron Rodgers makes another start for the Jets throughout his career?
I think he does. I don't think they have the stones to make that kind of a call here. I'm not saying that his play has necessarily justified it. I mean, in the first half, it was really rough. He isn't moving around very well anymore. That's become obvious. But now he's not seeing the field. It's scary. If you watch back the tape from the game yesterday, it looks like the offense when the Jets were throwing Zach Wilson or Tim Boyle out there. Their quarterback is just not seeing the field. He's late on throws. He's throwing behind receivers. I don't know if Tyrod would be a downgrade, an upgrade from that. He would be an upgrade from this, excuse me. He wouldn't be a downgrade, which is crazy to think because you think Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer, one day he's got to be an upgrade over what they had. But I don't know if that's the case anymore. The guy just has not looked like the same player. And I think he's hurting them right now.
Well, you said you don't know if they have the stones being coach, GM, Woody, Ambassador Woody. But what about the players, man? You're saying that he's not seeing the field. Balls are not, he doesn't have that same accuracy. If I'm Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Conklin, these guys, I'm playing for a lot myself. I want to kind of try and save my season by getting some stats. You think the players would rather go with T2 over Rodgers?
I think there's a chance, yeah, because not only is Aaron Rodgers not playing well, but at the same time, I think his body language on the field is just so bad right now. It's like anytime something goes wrong, you just see him shaking his head or looking off into the camera, staring into space. And it's not good. And I think it's rubbing off on the rest of the team. Like they just look like they have this defeated attitude. And right now, I think Aaron Rodgers, he's a team captain, he's supposed to be a leader of this team. He's giving off that same energy as well. And I wonder what they would look like with a change at quarterback, if it would spark anything or if it's just way too far gone at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you on the body language thing, man. It's getting darker than the dark room for Aaron Rodgers. Just by the way, when the camera shows him, he just looks like he's completely just out of it. Like I'm seeing ghosts out there is what the first thing that pops off my head. Let's switch it to the defense. Outside of Quinnen Williams, this unit has been a major disappointment, Matt. How? Make it make sense on why this defense has not lived up to the expectations.
I think where it starts for me is how much they tried to overhaul the defensive line and how much of a disaster that has been. It feels like every decision they made in the offseason was the wrong one. They let Bryce Huff walk. They trade for Hassan Reddick. It takes him, 7 weeks to get in, and he finally gets in and doesn't look like he's having an impact because he's missed, all of training camp OTAs and isn't really up to game speed. Jermaine Johnson gets hurt, which is unfortunate. They trade away John Franklin Myers for pennies and have to start Michael Clemens, who's costing them every week because he doesn't have, gap discipline in the run game, which is frustrating to watch. And then you have, Javon Kinlaw and Leaky Fotu on the interior, who were supposed to replace Quentin Jefferson and Al Woods. And I don't think either one of those guys have done an adequate job. So for me, I think the issues start up front and then work their way back. It also doesn't help when your third year corner, who was an all pro his first 2 years, isn't looking like that same guy. So it's a mix of a lot of things, but the first thing that jumps out to me is all the changes on the defensive line. I think they significantly downgraded on that unit.
All right, at this point, the season is what it is. This team are what they are. I don't know if that's good grammar or not. Let's talk about the fan base, though, man. How's the fan base going to approach the rest of the season? Like, you talk to them. They subscribe to your pod. Do they want wins? Do they want a tank? What's the vibes like in Jets land?
I think this is about as bad as the vibes have ever been. And that's kind of crazy to say because, I was doing this in 2020 when they were a 2-14 team. But at least then everyone was in on the tank. Everyone knew like this team's not going anywhere. Let's just see if they lose. But now it's like they don't care. Like we're all numb to it, which is to me worse when you are so bad for so long that you make your passionate fan base numb to it. Is just the worst place that it could be right now. So vibes are really bad. I guess people are going to start looking at Tankathon and see where the Jets will end up in the draft. But in the back of everyone's minds, I think they believe that the Jets are going to win a meaningless game or two down the stretch to cost them draft positioning anyway.
Oh, man. It's a tough place to be right now in New York football. Matt, tell the people they can find you, man. This was great.
Absolutely. You can follow on social media and on YouTube at Matt O'Leary NY for all New York Jets content.
And when they get that meaningless win, you're going to come on so we can talk after a win. We're going to get some good vibes here, I promise, man.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks again for having me.